Welcome back to PI Perspectives. Matt called an audible this morning. We originally had Patrick Andrews from CROSStrax lined up to air. Instead, Matt wanted to jump on and discuss what we're all trying to deal with. How do we stay in business while the world shuts down? Matt talks about the new reality of doing business in New York City and how to survive the quarantine. We're all just taking it one day at a time, and please folks, stay safe out there. Sometimes you just have to say no to that job assignment. You'll hear from Matt in a moment. This episode is brought to you by CROSStrax Case Management Software. CROSStrax integrates with programs you already use like QuickBooks, DelvePoint, Scope Now, Investigation Video Editor, Word, and more. The integrations combined with powerful features such as automated audio transcription and report generation help investigators generate revenue and improve efficiency. The system can be customized for any investigative specialty. Start your free trial today at crosstrax.co and use promo code PIP20. Now let's check in with our host who's flying solo today, private investigator Matt Spare.
Hey everybody, it's Matt, and just checking in here. I wanted to do a special episode this week on the coronavirus. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. It's kind of a crazy new time, a new thing that we're dealing with here. But I wanted to get on and just give you my 2 cents as a business owner, somebody who actually has people that work for them, and trying to make a game plan and figure out what the right way to attack this thing is and how to go forward with trying to stay in business. Because I think we're all pretty much in that mode right now, right? Just trying to stay alive. I think more people will probably go out of business than will lose their lives from this illness. Basically, there's not much we can do about it, right? So we just got to hunker down and take it one day at a time. That's really been my approach. Here I am in New York City, and the city is non-functional. I can't believe it. I just saw a picture from Times Square today that was just, it's empty. Nobody's out and about. It's just a bunch of craziness, but it is what it is, right? This is the new reality. So what do we do in times like this, right? How do we deal with this? This isn't your typical slowdown. I know guys that do, or guys and girls that actually do insurance work with surveillance. They're really hurting because nobody's leaving their homes, right? Everybody knows where everybody is. So that kind of work is not coming in. So I get it. I don't do that kind of work. For me, it's working with attorneys. And praise God, I had like 6 or 7 assignments come in today. So that's today. I don't know what it's going to be like tomorrow, and we don't know, and we don't know for how long it's going to be. So it just kind of is what it is. So how do we deal with all this? What's your approach? What are you guys up to? What are you doing? How are you planning here? I think the best way you can approach this situation is use the downtime, right? Use the downtime and make it work for you. What does that mean? It means pick up the phone, call clients, just, check in and see how they're doing, what their policies are. I know I had to restructure policies for my employees, how we're going to handle our field work. So it gave me a good excuse to start calling my clients today. Just reaching out to them saying, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. I know this is how we normally do things, but going forward, we're going to have to handle it this way. So essentially what that means is I'm not having my people do face-to-face contact, or I'm cutting down on it, right, as best as I can. So what does that look like? It means a lot of phone work, right? So they're setting their appointments, they're interviewing people, they're doing as much work on the phone as they can, scheduling appointments to meet with people for just quick appointments, right? What does that mean? It means, hello, how you doing? Here's some documents I need you to sign. Here's a statement. Can you read it over real quickly? Sign it for me. I'll notarize it. And we'll be on our way. And honestly, if we didn't have to notarize anything, we probably would do everything remotely, right? Just via email, sign this, scan it, get it back to me. But we don't have the luxury of doing that, right? We have to actually meet up with people. And, I'm asking a lot from my employees to go out and do this stuff, right? So it's really the Wild West. We're just taking it one step at a time. So anyway, I changed procedures, and it gave me a good reason to reach out to my clients and say, hey, this is how we're doing things. By the way, how are you doing? What's your plan? What's the status of your office? How long you think you're going to be out? Are you working from home? Is there anything I can do investigative-wise to help you work on your file? Because that is one of the other things they're doing, right? So now that they're not in court so much, they've got more time to review their files and just start going over everything and reassessing things, right? So one of the other things that I'm going to do later this evening is I'm going to send a constant contact out. Some people use constant contact, some use MailChimp, whatever. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to send this out to my clients and just giving them an update for the policy. There was a great email that came across from NCISS this afternoon about what the government's policy is on people that have to call out sick, right? How are they going to get paid? How's the employer going to be reimbursed? What does that look like, right? So Wes Bearden threw out an email today, and it was a great email. So I'm going to take a bunch of that information. I'm going to regurgitate it onto this constant contact to my clients, just kind of giving them some direction as to how, what's being talked about in the government as far as how employees are going to get paid. So anything that you can do to make your client's job easier or to help them work on their cases, that's what we're there for, right? So all those of us who do business with attorneys, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be spending all this time getting in front of or getting on the phone with these attorneys and just trying to touch base with them. And it's almost like, you're going through this situation together, right? We're all going through this experience, and something we'll reflect back on a couple of months from now, hopefully, right? So it'd be like, hey, remember that time when we went through that crazy thing over there? Remember that time there was nobody in New York City? What's that like? Yeah, so you can definitely build on that, right? You're not having lunches with people. You're not taking the paralegal out for lunch or doing any of that stuff, right? That time is over for the time being, right? It's not something that we can do. So we got to be more creative on how we approach this. So, definitely reaching out and just letting them know that you're open for business, right? They may think you're closed. You may not get work because they actually are not sure you're even working. So that's important to let them know that you're available and you're out and about and doing that sort of thing, right? So that's definitely something you want to do, getting the constant contact out there. And I would sit back and just take a look at your business in general, right? So accounts receivable, definitely want to make those phone calls and make sure people are processing their payments. And all right, so no one's going to be in the office. Is the bookkeeper still working? How can I expect payment, right? If you take credit cards, offer that, right? So yeah, you may have to eat the 3% interest on there, but if you have the ability to do it, this may be a time you want to do it, because if there's this long stop workage, which, there's been some rumors it could go all the way into May, possibly June, you want to make sure that you have money in the bank. Pay your employees, pay yourself, keep the lights on, keep the advertising going. These are all things that are important. If you have a credit line, that's something maybe you want to dip into, right? Maybe you want to take a look at and see if it's something that you have to do, right? As the last fail safe. I know I'm pushing through and I'm reaching out to my clients and trying to see status of checks and offering to do the payments and offering to stay on top of things, right? So we have to be financially responsible too, right? And making sure that we're allocating our resources properly. I don't intend at this time to cut back on my staff. I really don't want to. I have a great staff and great bunch of people, and they're like family, right? So I don't want to have to let anybody go. And if I'm proactive with how I'm managing my accounts and how I'm looking at things, I should be okay, right? I'm not in complete panic mode right now. I think that's something that we should all realize, that we don't need to do that, right? We don't need to get into panic mode. Just take it one day at a time, and we'll get through it, right? So it's the best you can do, right? So one of the other things that you can do during this time is continuing education. So in the downtime, find some webinars, find some things that you can watch and that you can learn, and make yourself a better investigator, right? Maybe it's a good time to go into those group chats and start asking questions on how to do things, or just have discussions, right? I know there are tons and tons of events that I was supposed to go to do some networking with other investigators that are getting canceled. I think right now we're canceled almost up until May. I think I'm waiting to hear back on one event, whether or not it's going to take place. They're going to decide this week. And I think the next one is in June. which is supposed to be in Canada, which today apparently they've closed their borders too. So that should be interesting. We'll see what happens with that one. Yeah, and reach out to your fellow investigators. Support one another. Just have a chat. We are all isolated, but we're together on the web, right? We can contact one another, trading messages, reaching out. But I think, using this time is doing like that continuing education is a good thing to do right now, right? I always do that in a downtime because, in this industry, there are always swells, right? You go up and you go down, you're incredibly busy, and then you're not busy anymore. So one of the things I do when I'm not busy is I do look to do webinars. I do look to have my staff participate and teach them how to do things. Maybe I'll do some training with them. We can all do webinars, right? We can all set up our own webinars for our employees, right? Everybody can use Zoom. I think they're actually making it free, right? During this time, 40 minutes. I was reading something the other day, up to 40 minutes free. So doing just continuing education with your employees. This is how you do this. Let's go over the policies and procedures, things like that to tighten up the way you do things, right? So when you do get back on track and you do get busy again, everybody's firing on all cylinders and everybody's on the same page. So this is definitely a time that you want to have grace, right? You want to have grace with your employees. You want to have grace with your clients. Lots of stressful times. Don't want to yell at anybody. You don't know what's going on with the person on the other side of the phone. They could have sick family members. Maybe they're not feeling well and they're worried that they're coming down with this coronavirus and they don't know what to do. So just trying to be kind to one another is something that's important too. You just don't know. You don't know what other people are going through, and you just really got to take a breath and have grace. I think that's something to remember as well, especially if you're a business owner and you have people working for you. Again, I know I said it before, but kind of it is what it is, right? We just need to push and get through it and do what we have to do. So, yeah, if you are a member of NCISS, I definitely suggest you take a look at that memo that Wes Bearden sent out today. There's a lot of really good information in there about the government's plan to make sure people that have to get quarantined for 2 weeks and are out of work, that they're getting paid and that the government is paying them for it, right? And there's some additional provisions if they're out longer. It's definitely something you want to take a look at. I don't think it's anything that's actually passed yet, but I know it's making their way. Congress is actually working together to get something out there. So we finally have some bipartisanship. It just takes pretty much the world to shut down for that to happen, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, just taking the time to go over your policies, taking the time to do some marketing, I think is important. We're all on the same boat. We're all locked in and quarantined. The attorneys are going to be reachable, right? Either by email or if you have their phone numbers to reach them, you know how to get them. Even witnesses, right? If you do witness statements, somebody's going to be home. If you do process serving and you're out there, somebody's going to be home. It doesn't mean they're going to come to the door, but they'll be home. So there's a good chance to do that. I'm curious, the process servers out there, what that business model looks like these days, if they're actually operating or if they're cutting back. I don't do it. I farm it out to people that handle it for me. But I know I had conferences with my employees today with regards to witness statements, right? Now is the time to really try and get a hold of somebody because people are just sitting around, right? They got nothing to do. And they may be more willing to actually talk to you just to kill the boredom. So you don't know what that deal is. So just reviewing it and trying to stay positive through all this, right? If you're a startup and you're just getting going and things, you just got to figure out a way to survive, right? You're literally against the clock. You got to survive the storm, essentially, right? Cut down on your expenses. Does that mean maybe not taking payroll? It's a tough thing to do, man. But if you can sacrifice that for a period or two, that may help you stay afloat. And the long-term picture is really what you got to think about, because as soon as things get back to normal, there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done, and there will be people out there that don't make the cut, that can't get through, and there's going to be some work available for people. So I think if you plan appropriately, you should be able to make it through. Take a look at your books, take a look at your expenditures. All of us have debts out there. I can consider each debt that's out there. If you're paying it in full or making payments on it, maybe you've been overpaying. Maybe it's a time to just cut that back for a month or two. I'm not saying don't pay your bills. I guess I need to say this isn't legal advice either. I'm not an attorney, so don't listen to what Matt says. I'm just giving you ideas. So I'm definitely not an attorney. I know a whole bunch, but I'm not. Just relax, guys. We're going to be okay. We're totally going to be fine. The industry it's not recession proof, but there's a need for what we do. That's one of the things you have to remember, right? There's always going to be a need for what we do. We just got to be smart about it and make the most out of our time. Go do some webinars. There's some great material out there. The Hetherington Group's got great stuff. Kelly Riddle's got great stuff. John Hoda has great stuff. If you want to learn how to do great witness statements, go look and see what John Hoda has, the guide to taking the ultimate statement. I highly recommend it. There's some great ideas in there on how to become a better statement taker. I suggest maybe you go back through and you listen to some old training episodes, some things that we talked about, accident site photography, intakes, stuff like that, and just concentrate on, making yourself better at what you do. So by the time everything does get back to normal, you're ready to fire on all cylinders. And just, once a week, reach out to your clients, let them know that you're out there and you're ready to work. So that being said, I think I'm done here, just rambling about this stuff. So I thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. I thank you for listening to the show. I hope you feel like you didn't get gypped this week with giving some real relevant material, but I just felt like the time was right to come on and talk about this stuff. So take care, everybody. We'll talk to you real soon. And thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for supporting. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.
Thanks for downloading this episode. We hope you found it helpful. These truly are trying times for all small businesses in America. Have a plan and be proactive. This episode is also brought to you by Satellite Investigations, the leading investigation firm in New York. If you have any investigative work you need done in New York State, please reach out to Satellite at satellitepi.com. And are you looking to network with other investigators and increase revenue? The Investigator Alliance, powered by CROSStrax, gives you exposure to companies looking for investigators in your area. Learn more at investigatoralliance.com. Now next week, Matt will speak with Patrick Andrews from CROSStrax, and they'll dig into all the ways their software can help your business. You don't want to miss this episode. Stay safe out there and have a great week. On behalf of Matt Spare, we'll see you next time on PI Perspectives.